Hello there. We're just going to be having another quick look at some Mac games that came out last month, September 2023. So with that being said, yes, let's get into it. So our first one is a bit of a surprise release actually, Lies of P, published by NeoWiz. It was actually announced in very late August, and came out on the Mac App Store on the same day as the other platforms. It's a very good looking game, and I've heard quite a lot of appreciation for it. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a bit of a look at the trailer they released for it. So we'll just get that started right now, I suppose. Gorgeous looking title.
Won't you help me, son?
Your lives are a rare ability.
So it's already received a number of awards and accolades, including Best Role-Playing Game and Best Action Adventure at Gamescom. And it features a number of weapons of upgrades and abilities, as well as weapons and gadgets, using Pinocchio's mechanical arm.
Lie to protect yourself.
So what we do, move on to the system specs. It's available on a fair few platforms: Windows, Mac, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. System requirements are... Now these are only the minimum system requirements. It's recommended a better system will give you better performance, obviously. But so for Windows, it's recommending Windows 10 64-bit with an AMD Ryzen 3 1200 or an Intel i3 600 processor with 8GB of RAM or above, plus an AMD Radeon RX 560 or a NVIDIA GeForce 960, and 50GB of free space. On the Mac side, requires macOS 12 Monterey with a M1 processor, 8GB of RAM, M1 GPU, and 37.6GB of space. Although you would get a better performance with 16GB of RAM or a M2. So, very impressive little title there. So let's move on. Our next one is Moonstone Island by Studio Supersoft. A very pretty little pixel title, this one. It's... my notes have decided to go. Here we go. Now, so it's set across over 100 islands. You start off as a apprentice alchemist, and you travel to an island in the sky to finish up your training. So let's have a look at the trailer. Very pretty little title. On. So, didn't really speak over the music there, might have been drowned out. So it's a bit of a creature collector set across, like I said, about 100 islands. It features a number of travel methods, including balloons and broom, as well as being able to build your home anywhere across the islands, as well as just being able to explore and see what happens. It's been described as a bit of a mix between Stardew Valley and Pokemon. So it's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, and the Nintendo Switch. And the system requirements, they're actually fairly low. So I won't really be able to go over them since since the main limiting factor would probably be having the 8 GB of RAM, so I would say as long as the system's not more than 7 or 8 years old, you should be able to run it pretty well. So, now, next up, Underground Blossom, made by the team behind the Cube Escape and Rusty Lake series. The team's also called Rusty Lake, of course. Now, so this is a point and click puzzle adventure.
When you look back on your life, you might wonder, who will remember me?
Okay, bit different from the public transport I've taken in the past, to put it mildly. So this is a short little point and click adventure. It's about 2 hours, and like I said, it's part of the Rusty Lake series, which is about, I think it's about 7 or 9 games at the moment. It's been going on for a decent little while. So the minimum system requirements are honestly very, very low. I'd go so far as to say, if you're running Windows 7 or macOS X Snow Leopard or higher, you're pretty much able to run the game. But it's already received quite a number of awards and praise. And it looks quite nice actually. So it's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, as well as iOS and Android. Now, probably the bigger one for this month, Baldur's Gate 3 by Larian Studios. So, the Mac release was delayed a bit compared to the Windows release. It came out in late September, around the 21st, 23rd, if I remember correctly. So I'll start the trailer, and
I saved you. And I'm here to save you again. The parasites are merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god.
The Absolute is more dangerous than you can possibly conceive. It threatens all who live. It threatens the gods, the weave, the very fabric of the universe itself.
How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards?
Blackett blesses me this day. Together, we might survive.
I'll enjoy watching you try. In mere moments, all that you have dreaded.
let's talk a bit about it. So, this is probably one of the largest games available for Mac, 150 gigabytes, available through Steam, as well as GOG, of course. Good old games. So at the moment it's available on Windows, Mac and the PS5, but I've heard there's an Xbox release planned for next year. So, now it's certainly in the running to take Game of the Year by quite a few publications. It features cross-platform play with PC, and the playtime has been mentioned as hundreds of hours, so you shouldn't run out. It's a fairly intensive little game, though. You're looking at the minimum system requirements are different from the recommended ones, but so Windows 10, a 64-bit, Intel i5 4690 or an AMD FX 350, 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 4 gigabyte graphics card, plus 150 gigabytes of free space. On the Mac side, we're looking at macOS 12 Monterey with an Apple M1 processor, 8GB of RAM, and an Apple One M1 GPU, plus 150GB again. Now, I've heard that on first start, it takes over an hour to verify the file, so if you do run it, you'd probably want to get that dealt with beforehand. So let's move on. So next one is Bounty of One by Optiz Onion. I've been practicing pronouncing my name, as you can tell. So this is a very pretty little Wild West survivor-like. It's left early access after just over a year in development, or probably longer, but that's how long it was in early access for. So again, the trailer. Let's talk a bit about it. So, it's got features 8 characters to choose from, plus over 80 different items, with more plans to be added. Again, if you're thinking of something like Survivor.io or Vampire Survivors or something like that, then you've got a pretty good idea of how this plays out. One thing I should mention is that you can only shoot when you're not moving, which does add a bit of variety to it. So it's available on Windows and Mac and Linux. Now it's only really got the specifications down for Windows, but they're not very high, to be honest. Windows 7 plus a Intel Pentium 4 processor, so we're probably looking at a processor newer than, I'll be generous and say 15 years old. 4GB of RAM. GPU isn't advised, so I'd assume just a fairly recently modern iGPU, probably 2015-ish. If you've got something better than that, you should be right. And 1.7GB of free space. On the Mac side, again, probably something within the past, I don't know, 8 years or so. Now let's move on to the next one. Pocket Bravery by Cetera Studio. Now, we don't actually have many beat-em-ups on Mac, so this is a nice little one to see. Technically, it came out at the very end of August, but I didn't mention in the last video, so I'm going to give it a mention this time around. So this is inspired by the Neo Geo and the 2D beat-em-ups of the 90s. And let's have a look at the trailer. It's a very nice little one.
Devorador de sombras. Julgamento da morte. Sua natureza branca.
Eu vou te mostrar quem é que manda aqui.
Round 1, fight!
E aí, quando é que você vai lutar no 100%, hein?
Achou errado, camarada!
Let's move on. I probably should try to roll that, So, this is, like I said, it's a retro style beat 'em up that has 12 characters currently available with DLC planned, including characters and stages. Now, this one's available on quite a lot of platforms actually: Windows, Mac, the Switch, PS4, PS5, and the Xbox One and Xbox X and S. Now, the graphics, the minimum system requirements are fairly low. You'd be looking at a 1.6 gigahertz processor, which is probably something that you would find in a lower end laptop, to be honest. 8 gigabytes of RAM, Intel HD graphics 530, and only 180 megabytes of space. So yes, I've forgotten what I was going to say. I better move on, to be honest. But yes, it's a very pretty looking title, and we don't really see a lot of beat 'em ups on Mac. So some honourable mentions. These ones came out. They were a bit overlooked, including one which caught me a bit off guard. Infraspace by Dionic Software. It's a bit of a sci-fi city builder. It started off with having pretty good reviews, but they've gotten a bit mixed up time. If it wasn't for that, I would have mentioned it in the main part, but yes, I've seen that the developer is working on it though, to fix some of the issues that players are raising in the reviews. I'm on Observation GC6 by Notovia and Dreamloop Games. Now, this one caught me a bit off guard since all the VTubers and the like seem to love or be terrified by the previous entries, but yes, it's a bit mixed this time around. But if you're looking for something to scare yourself for Halloween for a bit, then might be an idea to have a look at it. And one more game, Wakfu Legend by Ankama Studio. Now, this one's a bit of a not quite a spin-off, more of a side story to the Wakfu MMO RPG, which has been going on for a fair while, I think since 2005 or so, I believe. This is a bit of a roguelike deck builder set in the world of 12, which is what the Wakfu game is set in. Again, it looks interesting, but it hasn't really got the reviews, so I'm running a bit out of things to say, to be honest. So what I'll do, I'll wrap it up here. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope these games interest you a bit, and yes, I'll see you next time. Alright, thank you.